Good morning, scholars. Today is Thursday, April 16th. All right, today for our math work, we're continuing to work on our word problems that have an unknown addend, and we're going to be working on fractions in our SWON math. Now, scholars, I have been really impressed with those of you who've been creating that equation. You have been drawing out your thinking. I have really I am seeing this great work happen. Awesome job. Okay, let's take a look at another example today to remember our steps. Remember, step number one, we have to read the problem. Remember, we're reading it to understand it. Step number two, we have to make sure that we check out what are those keywords and numbers. Step one, read the problem. Step two, keywords and numbers. Step three, we want to write an equation. We have to figure out what are we really supposed to do with those numbers and those words. And then step four, we're going to solve the problem. We want to know what's our job. Okay, let's take a look at the problem today. This problem, Fred saved 62 pennies in his drawer. His brother gave him some more pennies. Now he has 85 pennies. How many pennies did Fred's brother give him? Okay, we read the problem, and now it's our job to figure out what are those keywords and numbers we need. Well, we see that Fred saved 62 pennies. When he saved them, we know that that means he has them already. So let's go ahead and write that 62 down for our equation. 62, he has these pennies, he saved them. Okay, his brother gave him some more. Scholars, we know what that word some means. It means we have no idea how much. So that is a big question mark. Some more tells us we're adding because there's more, but we don't know how much we're adding. So let's put our question mark in. All right, now, you know that's a key word. That tells us we have a total because we know he had some before. Now he has another number. So let's underline that word now. He has 85. So now we know our sum. We know that he has 85 pennies altogether after his brother gave him some more. So what's our job? How many pennies did Fred's brother give him? So we are solving for that question mark, which is answering the question, how many pennies did Fred's brother give him? Okay, let's go ahead and get into our solving here. So we'll draw our place value chart. We know that he started with 62 pennies because he saved that much. So let's draw that out. 2 ones in 62. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tens in 62. Okay, remember we're trying to get to what? 85. So if I have 2, what do I add to 2 to get to 5? Ones. I'm going to add 1, 2, 3 because I know, I used the wrong color, sorry. I'm going to use my purple since it's my question mark. 2, 3. Hey, by the way, guys, those of you who've been changing colors, that is awesome. It's really showing you're knowing what those numbers stand for. All right, so I have 2 plus 3. That gets me to my 5. And then I'm trying to get from 6, I need 85. He had 85. So I'm going to add 2 more because 6 plus 2, you know what, and just to remind ourselves, we are adding 6 plus 2 equals 8. So the sum was 85, so those two match up. But now we're solving for our question mark, and we got 23. 2 tens and 3 ones is 23. So I'm going to write that over here, and that's what I'm boxing up. So awesome job for those of you who've been boxing up that unknown addend because that's our job. We're figuring out how many more pennies did Fred's brother give him. And we can see that Fred's brother gave him 23. So excellent job for those of you who've been showing that work. Okay, now in our fractions today, guys, we have been thinking about how fractions are different parts of a whole shape. We've been working with circles, we've been working with rectangles. Let's look at our vocabulary again. Remember that first word, partition. Partition means I'm dividing up. You've seen Miss Moseley cutting up a shape, and that means we're taking apart our shape, we're breaking it into parts. Remember, when we have halves, how many equal parts do we have? 2. How about thirds? How many equal parts? Thirds tells us there's 3 equal parts. And fourths tell us we have, you got it, 4 equal parts. Now remember that word whole means all of the shape. So if I'm using a rectangle, it's the whole rectangle, all of it. If I'm using a circle, it's all of the circle. Okay, let's take a look at some ways that we're going to see that today. I'm going to erase our problem of the day. There it goes. Okay, guys. Now, let's take a look at, let's go with the circle to start with. All right, my scholars, what do we have here? This is, you got it, a whole circle. So when we're thinking about how many whole circles do we have 1. Now what if I broke it apart? Let's break it apart. I'm gonna cut it in half. I'm gonna cut it in half. See how I have 2 equal parts there? Now, when I cut it in half and I have my 2 equal parts, I want you to think, if I shaded both of those in, that means I'm going to color both sides in, shade them. Now, how many halves made our whole now? So there are how many halves? Well, remember there's still 2 of them. We shaded both of them in, so that means I have 2 halves in 1 whole. Now remember, halves is a fancy word for those 2 equal parts in the 1 whole. So if I want to know how many equal parts I have, how many do I have? Well, I still have 2 equal parts in my halves. 2 equal halves make 1 whole. Guys, let's take a look at another shape. What if I want to do a rectangle? Here it goes. Here's my rectangle. So what do you think? How many whole rectangles do I have there? Well, I only have 1 whole, don't I? So that's 1 whole rectangle. Let's say my rectangle, I feel like cutting it into thirds. I'm going to partition it so that I have thirds. So I have 1, 2, 3 equal parts. That's right there. So maybe you're going to see it in this order. A whole, halves, equal parts. This time we're going to switch it. We have a whole. We have equal parts. So let's shade them. We're going to shade all of them. Remember, if it tells us our job is to shade all of the equal parts, we need to shade all of them in. So I'm going to shade in my first one, my second equal part, and my third equal part. All of those are shaded. And so how many equal parts did I shade? I shaded 3 of them, and that gave me 1 whole. Well, we know that 1, 2, 3 equal parts are what? What are those called? Thirds. So if I shade in all 3 of my thirds, we can see that 3 thirds shaded in is 3 equal parts shaded in, and it's also 1 whole. Okay, in your work today, you're going to be going in to Seesaw, and you're going to see your problem of the day. It's going to be just like the one we did before. Great job for those of you who are watching the example to make sure that you're thinking, how should I be writing my problem? Remembering to write your equation and drawing out your picture and boxing in your unknown addend. Okay, now in our fraction work today, we're going to jump in and we're going to see questions like this, 6 of them. So in this one, it says shade in each equal part of the circle. Did you see how it says each equal part? That means all of them. I've loved seeing people who have been changing their colors, so it's really easy to see how many equal parts they have. So you color in one equal part, color in another equal part, another equal part, and so changing colors helps us just see how many equal parts are there. It's making sure we got it, that when we have fractions, each of them are a different equal part, but they're all part of the whole shape. Okay, so look guys, how many equal parts did we have? Well, we know we had 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. So there's 4 equal parts. Well, 4 equal parts tells us we have fourths. So how many fourths do we have? Of course we have 4 fourths. And what part is shaded? Well, we shaded in the whole circle, so that's 1 whole. Okay, as you're doing your work today, make sure you remember to read very carefully so that you can make sure that you're answering every question. I've been really proud of the work that I've been seeing, guys. All right, that's our math work for today. Happy learning. I hope you have an awesome, awesome day.